Welcome to Hamlin Beach State Park and Campground. Over there is Lake Ontario, and it stretches all the way from here to forever. When you come into the park off of the little parkway, there is a day-use gate with a person at it during business hours. I don't know, some days they're there later, sometimes it's earlier. Anyway, we had a secondary car. We had to pay $7 for a parking pass for it, but it's good for our entire stay, which was 2 weeks. We came in, then you drive along this road near the lake, and you can see here, there's a little sign right there that says camping registration, and that building right there is the park office. You go in there, get your stuff all taken care of, then you come out of there, and then you have to turn right, but then you make a U-turn to come down this road and into the campground, which we will go to now. And there's also a building here that is, we're going to cross to the other side so we don't die. That would be an interesting video, wouldn't it? There's a building here which was obviously at one point and maybe at some parts of the year it is.
Right.
Because there is still stuff in there, like on the counters. But it looks like a regular, ranger station that you would find at a state park, where you drive up, go in, register, and then keep going into the campground. But I guess they figured out to just have less staff.
Right.
Perhaps.
Yeah. This place is sprawling.
Sprawling.
I mean, there are the roads are kind of like, there's just a lot of them compared to like other state parks we've been in.
Mm-hmm.
There's just lots of, roads, and then the parking lots. There's some huge parking lots in this park, and it's kind of weird because it's like they're never full.
Right.
This was a Civilian Conservation Corps project back in the day, and I guess that's why it's so big and sprawling. Is like when they built it, there was a big influx of government money, I guess,
right,
for this project. But I mean, it is just a huge sprawling thing.
Yeah, there's like 2-lane roads going through, either direction.
Right.
So we think at some point it must have been the main road that came through this area.
That's what it feels like.
To go along the lake. And then they built the parkway. But that's what it feels like anyway.
Mm-hmm. So there's like 200 and something sites, is that right?
Yeah, there's 6 loops, I think. Let's see, we are in loop D, and we're in number site 138. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure there's 230 sites or something like that.
So one of the biggest campgrounds we've been in ever, right? Wouldn't that be?
Yes, aside from a few private ones that we ended up in because we had to.
Yeah, but so definitely one of the biggest. And
so hang in there if you're watching this video. It's going to be a little while.
Yeah, but even though it's really big, it has been nice and quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've been here on the weekends, and it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been not loud at all. No.
Yeah, it's been busy, very busy.
Yeah, well, and that's right. This is coming up on this. Today's Wednesday, so we won't be here for another weekend. So, I've been pleasantly surprised, because when we first got here, I thought, oh man, it's gonna be really loud. But
yeah, we've been fortunate, I think, in that our site it's the first one in our loop, and so the side where our awning is overlooks a big open field, and you can actually see the lake from our site. Not like a great view of it, but you can see it.
Yeah, and that is thanks to you. You always look at the map. I mean, I think this is
there were only 4 sites left when I made the reservation.
But
that's the one I chose.
But look, he's being humble here. His habit is to always look at the campground map and then try to think about things like, okay, what might be our situation? Where can we get the most privacy? And by doing that, I think we have a much better experience than we might otherwise have. If I were in charge, I would just pick the first one and let the chips fall where they may.
So this one, even though it's at the entrance to our loop, it doesn't have the most privacy as far as everybody that comes into our loop and drives along the road can see us sitting in our chairs. But it also has a big open field right next to it that we have a nice view, and the kids can ride their bikes actually right there and play with the swords that they made. So, and then we're not next to other campers.
Right.
There's even on the other side, there is brush that separates our site from the next one. So we really don't hear anybody else.
Right.
And the whole time we've been here, nobody's been in the site directly across from us.
That's right. Yeah,
which is interesting.
Yeah.
Even though it seemed totally full, nobody was ever there. So, I don't know. We are in Loop A, not Lupe. Do you know anybody named Lupe? I don't either.
I knew a girl in school whose name was Lupe. Guadalupe, I think was her full name.
I think that's probably all of them.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know any.
She's a very nice girl.
Yeah. So you can see here that these sites are, they're kind of open. There's not much brush in between these, but I think it probably just depends on which area you're in. And if I'm not mistaken, all of the sites are electric only.
Right.
We have electric, and there is a freshwater spigot, probably about
100 feet.
I would say 100 feet from us, and yeah, it's like this one here. On occasion, let's see, I'd say, well, however often, I just take a gallon jug over to the thing, fill it up, walk back over to the RV, put it in the freshwater tank, go fill it up some more. And then whenever we have to go dump our tanks, we just drive over to the freshwater spigot and hook up our hose and fill up the tank that way. And that's been fine. We've actually had to go dump our tanks a lot less.
Yeah.
Because we've been using the showers here.
Here, yeah.
And conserving water in that respect by using bottled water to make our coffee and to drink water.
Right.
We've still been using our tank to fill up like pots when we're cooking and stuff like that, not using bottled water for that. But it's worked out well for us.
Yeah, it's been fine. And the sites themselves are kind of downhill, a lot of them.
Yeah,
like
you
ours.
can see this one for sure. It goes down probably from the front here to the back, probably 4 or 5 feet. I don't know. I don't know how to judge that.
Yeah. So it is nice that we can kind of conserve water and stuff like that. That way we don't have to go dump as often, because it's not just a simple back in and you're done. You have to get back up on the ramps and all that stuff. It just adds a little bit of time.
Yeah, and even our ramps don't get us all the way level.
Right. Yeah.
And they are ones that we've talked about before that take us up, I think, 4 inches. Okay, so Loop A and Loop B both have these new bathhouses. And I will show you what the showers look like. It says it's vacant, just like Powhatan State Park in Virginia was. So they've got a toilet, right? And then
This is really nice. I should walk over here.
Showers. You haven't used the ones in Loop B?
I did the one in Loop B, but
It's the same.
It seems even nicer here.
Oh, maybe you missed one.
I don't know.
But anyway, those are great. Like, even if you have to, like, go a little further to get to them, they're great. Ours in Loop C are older. They're still hot showers, and they're fine, but our 7-year-old is deathly afraid of daddy long legs. And we haven't seen any daddy long legs here, but there are some spiders in the other shower, so I haven't taken him to that one. He really, as he calls it, freaks out, and he does. He's like stomping his feet, just trying to get away from the things that aren't even there. So, poor guy. But those are beautiful. So, yeah. and there's 4 showers in each of those buildings that are separate like that. So you've got a pretty good shot of getting one that's open, even if you walk over from another loop, I think.
Yeah, and the bugs, I will say, when we first got here, I was like, all right, no bugs at all. I was able to sit outside, no mosquitoes. And then it started raining, and I think that's what brought them out, because they have been pretty aggressive, I would say. But
and I think I even said it the first day we were here. We were sitting outside, and I said, hey, this is nice. There's no bugs.
Yeah.
But then in front of our site is a is like the drainage for the
Right.
side of the road. And I said, but that thing will probably fill up with water, and then we'll get mosquitoes.
Yeah.
And after it rained, we did get mosquitoes.
Yeah, and
But it's
there
not
are-
all day.
Yeah, and there are also deer flies, which, are usually pretty aggressive towards me, but those are only in certain areas, like in the woods. And I noticed on our loop when we were walking around, when Elijah was riding his bike, they were like attacking his head, but I don't think they actually bit him. So, but there were like 3 or 4 that were landing on his head. So if you have a problem with deer flies, again, email me and let me know how to get rid of them or how to deal with them, because they bite right through DEET, and I don't know what else to do aside from just not go outside.
Right.
So, or just deal with them if I'm out there. But anyway.
So that loop was a one-way. You go in down there, and you come out here.
This is how I got confused that time.
Yeah?
I thought I came out on the other end. There is no other end, but I thought
Right.
I thought there wasn't. I thought it was like, because it wasn't a one-way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought I was on the opposite end.
I think that is how loops A, B, and C operate. Ours is loop D, and I think that starts where you go in and you come out in the same place, but it is still one way.
Right.
Even though people don't necessarily abide by that one-way rule.
Yeah. Yep.
So even though this is a great park for bike riding, it's pretty level, and there's a lot of road, even in the campground area. You got to watch for traffic going the wrong way. There's multiple playgrounds.
There are.
And they have
everywhere.
different things. You can see like this one is just a little like fire engine type playground with a couple of swings. They're just all over the place.
Yeah, it's really great because then they're never that crowded, you know, because there's so many different places
Right.
for kids to play.
You do need to watch out for dog poop.
Yes.
There is a section starting just after the camp store that says no pets allowed beyond it. So that means loop D, E, and F. Pets are not allowed in there. I don't know if it's enforced, but that is.
Yeah, I haven't seen any.
Yeah, I haven't either.
So, and it's been full, so seems like people abide by it.
So it did rain last night and a lot of this morning. And that's why it's wet here. Hopefully Kayla's not getting attacked by mosquitoes
Not yet,
as we walk.
no.
Maybe because we're
Surprisingly.
briskly
I
walking
think, yeah, our pace is enough so that it keeps
to get
them away.
through here.
Yeah.
As you can see, there's another water, freshwater source right there. They are peppered throughout each loop. Surprisingly enough, there are not any at the dump station. There's no freshwater hookup there, which would be convenient if you could pull
Although-
forward.
I saw someone using it as...
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Using the non-potable water
Yeah.
as their tank filler? Are you sure?
That's what it looked like. Now, maybe they had some sort of flush out thing. That's what I'm praying. That,
Oh, they probably did.
I don't know. I was pretty gross.
Oh, no. Well, that's not nice.
No. But now, Lake Ontario, I was completely ignorant of the Great Lakes as far as like what to expect. I am used to lakes like in Georgia and
Right.
Lake County, Florida, and man,
Like things you don't really want to go swimming in.
well, yeah. But Lake Ontario, it's like an ocean.
Yeah.
It's like an ocean. It is incredible how big and expansive. I mean, you cannot see the other end of it. You know, like when you're standing on the shore, you see nothing. It's just
Right.
like
Open water.
Just open water. It's crazy. And another really neat thing about it is it can be still just like a regular lake would be one day, and then the next day if the wind's up, it's like the ocean. I mean, there are waves, like people will
Crashing,
surf
yeah.
at certain parts of the year here. So it's just really an interesting lake, and I've really enjoyed being here.
And it was fairly clear.
Yeah, like we went
getting
swimming.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, so the there are lifeguards, and I don't really understand the whole system, quite frankly, because sometimes there are lifeguards and sometimes there are not. And when there aren't lifeguards, sometimes people are swimming and sometimes they're not. And I'm not really sure. They have signs up on the beach that say no swimming, but they're at the swimming area that the lifeguards would be at. So it's very confusing, and I'm really not sure if you get yelled at by the rangers if you go swimming when there's no lifeguard. I don't know. I don't really care. One day of swimming was enough for me.
Right. I noticed this. Sorry, this was at the bathroom. I noticed the handicap parking space. This guy's racing.
Yeah, that's the new logo.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's no longer they're just sitting.
Right.
They're racing.
Yeah.
Got it. I didn't realize that was a new thing they did.
I've seen it in a lot of places. I feel like it's everywhere, but I don't know. But I do like that logo better.
Yeah, I mean, it looks more active.
Yeah.
But it feels like an effort to do something when you're not really doing anything. You know, like a government thing. Let's change the logo.
Oh, well.
Right, that's nice. Yeah. But what else are you doing?
Right, well, that's true.
It didn't make the parking space more accessible.
That is
true. It just changed the logo. That's all.
And that was something in the bathrooms in our loop.
Right.
The shower that is supposed to be a handicapped shower.
Right, it's the larger one,
right, it's
more
larger,
space.
You know, they didn't put the stuff in there that you're supposed to put, like the seat and the
hand holdable,
yeah.
Right.
And instead they put that stuff in the small shower, so total mess up there.
Right.
So, you know, if you are handicapped and you're watching this video, go to one of the other bathrooms, and that will help.
Yeah, go to the nice ones.
Yeah, go to the nice ones, because the other ones aren't that great anyway. But
so some of the sites are in low-lying areas.
yeah,
and you can see that with the rain they get kind of muddy.
Mucky, yeah.
Most of them, they have gravel, but a lot of them have grass that's growing over the gravel and maybe a little bit of dirt. It seems as if they made these a while ago and it has sunken down because they did form them. You can see there's gravel and they're lifted up around, but it seems like over time they've just kind of gone down. A lot of them anyway. Right,
and that's kind of the same with everything in this park. Some of it has been revitalized, like there are playgrounds, and there are signs at a lot of the playgrounds that say, like, excuse our dust while we update. But for example, the basketball court, we've not walked by it yet.
We have not gone past it yet.
But it's, you know, it's got some grass growing up in the cracks. And
I will say that basketball court is the most beautiful basketball court I've ever dribbled a ball on. But that's because there's wildflowers growing up in all the cracks.
Right.
So, but I've been the only one that I've seen use it.
Right.
So maybe that's why they figured nobody ever uses it, so we're not going to use the money on it. But it is a shame.
Yeah.
So we just left Loop B, and now we'll be going into Loop C. We haven't said the numbers, but if you're looking online trying to, you know, find a site, you'll know which one you're at. But I will say it's 74 through 137. There's an N before the number. I don't know what that means. Some of them say P, some of them say N. I don't really know, because it's not Loop N, it's Loop C. So I don't know what the significance is of that. A lot of the trees here, these bushes like right here, have what's called buffalo berries on them.
Yep.
They are edible, but they don't taste good.
They are very bitter.
So maybe you could pick a bunch of them.
Make jelly?
Make jelly with some sugar and stuff. And maybe that'd be good.
Maybe.
Buffalo berry jelly? I have no idea.
Maybe you could make $1 million marketing buffalo jelly.
You could come here and probably have enough supply to make, you know, a year's worth of jelly to sell to the world.
We knew something was probably up when we arrived here, and there was all these berries around. And I thought, oh man, they either are poisonous or they must taste horrible.
Right.
And they taste horrible. So no, I looked it up. We don't have good internet here. That was something that was not something we were expecting.
Right.
We had looked at reviews that said AT&T, like what, 2-3 bars?
2 to 3 bars of 4G LTE.
And that was not our experience. We have none well, occasionally
sometimes.
we'll have 1 bar of 4G
Right.
at certain parts of our RV in certain weather conditions at certain times of the day. But there are a couple of places we found in the park. What are you doing here?
I'm going into this bathroom to show it. Careful. Oh, that was slippery mud right there. We'll pick up what she was saying there in a moment. So you can see these are not as nice. But now this one is properly set up. This is Loop C, the bathroom here. That does have the handicapped stool and water thing in the larger part. But you can see these are older. So if you have a choice, or you do have a choice, just go to the nicer one.
Yeah.
So
That's where I fell.
yes,
Okay.
it was nice and slippery there. I see
Yes,
that.
it was.
So occasionally we'll get that in our RV.
Yeah, but there are a couple of places along the lake, and you kind of just have to hold your phone and watch your signal go up or down, where you can find, I think the most I found is 3 bars of 4G LTE, but it's not consistent.
No.
It's like some days you'll go there and nothing, and other days you'll go and there's like several different little spots that'll pick it up. I've not found a good reason why. There's a tower that we wonder if maybe the tower is there and is having problems or what. But just suffice it to say, if you're coming here and you're going to be dependent on internet, you'll either have to walk over to the lake or
Good luck though, still.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. It's just like I said, it's just not consistent. But Hamlin, at the Tops there's a grocery store called Tops, and it's about 15 minute.
Yeah, I think it's
15 minute
that,
drive.
yeah.
Felt like about 15 minutes yesterday. You can go over there in the parking lot, and there's like a good 3 bars
Yeah.
of 4G LTE.
Yeah. I went there the other day to upload some stuff, and I put the phone on the dash and leaned it up against the windshield. If you don't know that, your windshield can work as an antenna to kind of boost your signal
Yes.
when you're trying to get it.
Yep.
But so that was it's always been there. Every time we've tried to get signal there, it's been there.
Yeah.
So you may have good luck around your site. I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when we first got here, and it was kind of this surprise, like, oh, wait, we don't have internet, because we do depend on the internet to do our work and such. I walked around every single loop with my phone, watching the signal, and I just couldn't find a reliable signal anywhere. So I'm not sure what happened, or if the people just mistakenly put AT&T when they really meant Verizon or something. I think probably Verizon does have good signal here, because there are certain parts of the park where I've got like 5 bars of nothing, which usually does mean Verizon. Occasionally there was something called like Telus and Bell. Those are things on, at least with AT&T, what we've been told is they work and they don't charge you extra or anything to be on those, but I never got data to work. I think it's only like voice stuff that it will work with, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I have been able to send text messages and things like that from inside the RV, as long as you've got some sort of signal.
Yeah.
Like it's not, that thing that shows nothing. Then I've been able to send texts.
Right.
So at least you can call for help or something if you need to.
Yeah.
But it was a surprise for us when we got here to not have it.
Yeah.
But it's actually worked out pretty well.
It's worked out really well, because we've made a lot more progress on the actual stuff that we would like to do, like writing.
Right.
Things that don't require internet, but that are hard to get yourself to do on a consistent basis if you have internet there distracting you. So I've made a lot of progress on my book, and you've made a lot of progress on your book.
That's right.
So there's another Well, that's the same.
No, that's another.
It's another.
It's another bathroom.
Oh, is it? Wow.
Yeah, our loop also has 2 bathrooms.
Oh.
The loops are fairly large.
Yeah.
Like, even if they've only got, 30 or 40. Let's see, would that be right? I can't do the math, and I think they're probably all different.
Yeah.
But I know this loop has 2 bathrooms, and loop D has 2 bathrooms. Now A and B have 1 bathroom each, but they are the new ones.
The nice ones, yeah.
I have been able, speaking of internet service, I have been able to get a good 2 bars of 4G, enough to check email, just to make sure I need to do anything or not, at site 150. So right there at the post, every time I've gone to the post at 150, I've been able to do that. So that has worked out.
And so from this campground, we drove to Niagara Falls, which was
an hour and 25 minutes, I think.
Right.
To the entrance of the state park.
Which was totally worth the drive.
Oh, yeah.
Niagara Falls was, I had never been there before, and I thought it would be neat, I thought this was going to be one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, that was cool. But man, it was breathtaking, I think. Like, as far as the power of the water as it was going over the falls. I mean, it's just one of those things, until you're actually standing there next to it, it's very hard to describe.
Yeah, and even if you go to Three Sisters Islands, that was really neat to see. There was nobody, just the crowd is not there.
Right.
So you just walk a little ways, go to that, you get to see the water rushing through, around all these different islands. And that's really neat to see on its way to Horseshoe Falls.
Right, which is what you would think of when you think Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
But it was very busy, and we were there on a Thursday. So I can imagine that on the weekend it's very busy. We it's August right now, so it was the beginning of August when we went, and through the week it was still busy. So just so you can kind of measure what the crowds may be when you decide to go.
And we've been told that it's prettier from the Canadian side, but we don't have our passports or enhanced driver's licenses. And as far as we could find, that is what we needed to have in order to go over there. But I thought it was just beautiful anyway. So
yeah, I mean, and that is something about when you're traveling around. There's always going to be more to see.
Yeah.
Like there just is, and we've learned to get comfortable with the idea of we'll catch that next time, because there's plenty of places that even right now I think, man, I'd like to go back and go visit that town again or go see that thing sometime.
Yeah.
So it's no big deal, and we did when we went to Niagara Falls, we parked inside the state park there.
Right.
The admission to the state park is free. To park is $10. Now, there is parking in Niagara Falls, the town, but it is pretty expensive.
Yeah, the lot that we looked at was $20 for the day.
Yeah, it's like 24-hour parking. It's not like by the hour. So, or at least what we could find. It was all-day parking. So that's a little bit different than what we had seen in other cities. But, I think that worked out really well. We went to, if you park inside the park, I mean, the falls are right there. You can walk around and do whatever you want to do. And then we ate at a place called 3rd Street Retreat. And it is on like the bottom floor of an apartment building, and you can get free parking there. Like if you go in and eat, they validate your parking. When we were there, there was no parking attendant, I guess, because it was through the week, and so we didn't even have to deal with that. We just parked, went in, and we asked the people, like, what are we supposed to do about parking in the lot? And they're like, oh, it's fine. So if you happen to be there on a weekend, you'll get the parking validated, but otherwise you can just park there, go in and eat, and the food was really good. So.
And that was outside the park.
Right, yeah,
so,
yeah.
We left the park after we spent about an hour and a half. No, actually it was 2 hours, I think, in the park. Yeah. So it was $10 for 2 hours for 5 people to go see that, and we really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Now we are coming outside of Loop C, but I'm going to turn to the right here so that we can show you where the basketball court is and the camp store and the main campground playground, because that's where most of the kids are, and then we'll just turn around and I'll show you that way. And also there is a little produce stand, which I think the produce is purchased from the store and then brought here and the price raised a little bit, but it's neat to have it available here. You know, if you're like, oh, I really wish I had a tomato, go over here and there's probably some on the thing, unless it's toward the end of the week. We noticed it was kind of emptied out. But so over there is the, I can't tell on the screen if I'm pointing at it or not, but the basketball court, there's 2 hoops. And then here is the store and laundry. We can actually go in the laundry too. And there's an activity building over here where they have, it's not open all the time, but they have foosball, ping pong, looks like crafts, stuff like that. The playground, of course, is beyond, straight ahead. And then you can see they've got firewood, and there's a red box on the trailer where you can just go and put money in if you're buying something when the store is closed. So that's the store there. And this is the laundry. It's $2 to dry here, and then wash is also $2. They've got like 2 machines here. This one's broken, and then there's a couple on the other side. And there's, see, they've got eggplant,
firewood,
cucumbers, bell peppers, squash. What is this? Zucchini, onions, and potatoes. And so there's the playground. They've got a little zip line swing, which the kids really love. Like, spend hours on that thing, or they would if we would not be bored out of our minds. But anyway, so the camp store has everything that you would need, plus some stuff. They've even got beer and wine, but it's camp store prices.
Yeah, which means like triple.
Yeah, yeah. Like there was one of those, you know, long Coleman lighters, and it was, I think, $11, and you can get those at Walmart for $2. So, come prepared if you're needing that kind of stuff.
There is a Walmart about 20 minutes away. Is that right?
I would say it's closer to 30.
Closer to 30.
Yeah. Because the town of Bridgeport.
No.
Wait, Brockport.
Brockport.
We say the wrong name.
We have called that town a million different names. But Brockport was a really neat town.
Mm-hmm.
We went there because on Saturday nights we do a like family night, sleep on the couch night, and I picked this place called Jimmy Z's.
Almost
Shapes
famous.
And plates. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And we got this stuff called
garbage.
Garbage. Yeah, which is, I think is a New York thing or a whatever area you want to call this.
Buffalo, upstate New York.
Upstate New York. I don't know how far this extends. I've never seen it before, but basically a lot of people put like macaroni as their bottom layer, but we used tater tots.
Tater tots.
Yeah, but you can also get fries, and you can like.
Fried mac and cheese.
Oh, fried.
That's
right. Yeah, it was tater tots, fried mac and cheese, and then on top of that was now I've forgotten.
Onions
and
meat sauce,
and mustard.
Yeah, I think maybe something like that.
And it was just delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, really, really, really neat kind of. Oh, and nacho cheese.
Oh, yeah.
On top too. It was just really good. I like upstate New York a lot, basically, because of that. And they have ice cream or frozen custard. Was it frozen custard or ice cream? I can't remember.
Ice cream, I think, is what it was. Perry's ice cream.
Perry's ice cream. But they had that, and the food was just really good.
Yeah.
So
that over there is the main day use area. That's where the lake is. You can kind of, it's the lighter colored blue out there. Well, maybe you can see, I can't tell. But there's showers there also when you're done in the lake, and they were really nice. Newly redone, I think is what they're claiming. So it was a good place to be. I was going to talk about the town of Brockport.
Yeah.
This is our site here, so you can see we've got, it's not private, but it is open. So this is what we see from our chairs under our awning, which is very nice to look at. Not staring at somebody else's camper, you're looking at
the lake, actually. I mean,
we
it kind
can
of
see
depends on if it's crowded over there, then the cars block the view of the lake. But on a clear day, you can really see the lake, so it's pretty.
So the town of Brockport, I was going to say, surprised us because we ate and we had some ice cream. We were just walking around the street, and then we realized that it was the Erie Canal that was going through the town. So there was this lift bridge, which, you know, it's not a drawbridge, like it doesn't split in the middle. It's a lift bridge. The entire bridge just lifts up to allow boats to go under. And so that was really neat to see. I had never seen the Erie Canal. I'm sure I drove over it at some point in my life and on my trip from Florida to Maine. If you have questions about that, there may be a book coming sometime about it. But it was just really neat to be like, hey, this is the Erie Canal.
Right. Yeah, that was a really cool thing.
And there was a little bit of history there about it too. I can't remember any of it, but you can look it up if you're interested.
Right. And the town itself of Brockport had a lot of laundromats, and it looked, I mean, it was just a neat little town. Like, if you like to go to a small town that has restaurants and stuff like that and just walk around the town, I think that would be a great place to go. Great little, 20-minute drive over there.
There was a coffee shop there too. I didn't see what the name of it was though.
You should have gone.
And there's a cell tower right there in the middle of town. So if you're like, well, I've got to do laundry and I need to use the internet, you could go there. And there may even be Wi-Fi at some of those laundromats. Yep. But we didn't look. We rarely use Wi-Fi anywhere. Yeah. We have an unlimited data AT&T plan for our 2 phones and our tablet, and we just use it, and it works out really well. Yeah. A lot of times better than any Wi-Fi we can find.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi, we've tried doing Wi-Fi, like uploading videos, and we've just never had good success. Now, that was almost, not 2 years ago yet, but a year and a half ago. So maybe in that time, Wi-Fi has gotten better, but at the time, it was like, this ain't gonna work for uploading videos and such. So.
Yeah. I think the only time I found luck was when we were first starting out, actually, at the McDonald's in Apopka, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were staying at Rock Springs, Kelly Park, and I went there and did some real estate work.
Yep, that's right. I'd forgotten that you had to go to the McDonald's. Oh, good times.
So, this loop, actually, I didn't realize it. This is our loop, but it seems more wooded than the last ones. Like, the trees seem taller, or at least they have thicker canopies. Don't really know. Yeah. And that might explain why something was flying around us just now.
Yes, I was going to say a deer fly buzzed me, but didn't bite me yet. So. And we had a storm go through yesterday, so kind of surprising. Well, we don't have signal, so
that's right.
Surprised by stuff like that. It was like a really nice, bright morning, and then I was getting ready to go into Hamlin, right? Yeah, Hamlin. And as I started getting on, like, out of the park, it really started to, the wind started to whip and
nay-nay.
And nay-nay. And it was all fine and everything, but there were a lot of branches down in the park today because of that, so, or even yesterday. There aren't a whole lot of trails here, like as far as hiking.
Right.
There is kind of a trail at the end of the walking path around the lake, or along the shore of the lake.
Yeah, so that would be, I suppose, the west end of the park.
Right, yeah.
Because it's weird. It just feels like you should be facing a different direction when you're looking at the lake, but I think we're facing north.
Right.
And then, so it goes west and east.
Mm-hmm.
But at the west end, there is a trail that goes into the woods.
Yeah. But, and it's pretty well maintained.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, but there's plenty of space to just walk,
Oh, yeah.
you know, like all these loops, and then along the lake there is a paved path. It's mostly paved. It's not. There's some parts that have just dirt.
Right. Well, the beach part, obviously.
Well,
actually, there's a trail behind it.
Yeah,
right?
there is a trail, but it's not paved right there. And there is a neat paved, what would you call that with the barricades? There's like...
It's like a sidewalk, but it's on the lake.
It is on the lake, like right on it.
It's basically a wide seawall, it appears.
Yeah, like you can, I mean, if you're there on a day where the waves are crashing, it's like, I mean, I wouldn't walk on it when the waves are on there, because I would be afraid that a wave could like kind of push you against the barricades there. So I don't know. It seems like maybe that obviously wasn't always a thing. I don't think the barricades were original part of the plan, so I don't know what's happening. I don't know if the levels of the lake have risen that much or what. Yeah,
I was trying to figure that out too. Like if they were just using that to keep people from entering the walkway in that spot.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think it must be that the things like I don't know if the seawall or whatever it is has lowered, or if the lake has risen.
Right.
But anyway, it's a neat thing to walk on when the waves are not crashing over it.
One thing I thought that was interesting when I walked on the trail on the west end is I got to the other end, and you had told me about this, but I didn't really realize where you were.
Uh-huh.
I got to the other end, and then I turned around. There was a sign that said restricted area.
Yeah.
But I was obviously allowed to be back there because a ranger was back there, and he did show me a part that I wasn't supposed to be at.
That you were on.
Which I was on, but It was a beautiful view of the lake, and it was like, why is this off limits?
Yeah, there is like this part of the trail that veers off to the right towards this overlook. And it's a well-worn path, so it's quite obvious. But the rangers have done nothing to put up any kind of sign that says this is not a trail.
Right.
And so, you know, I went on it. I didn't get caught, but he did. So, nanner. But you know, but it is really pretty. If you could, I mean, there may be other parts. I only walked on it once where you could actually look out over and just see the lake from a high point. It was neat. Yeah,
it's crazy. I was just standing up there and I was in awe of the expanse of it. I turned off my podcast and I just looked out there and I thought, wow, this just keeps going. Yeah. It's like, where is the other side? I mean, when we were on the way to Niagara, we did at one point see Toronto.
Yeah.
Or Toronto, I think is how the locals say, Toronto. I might have heard that on
You're so Canadian.
Well, I think I heard that on a, what are those, those home improvement shows, because they're always in Canada.
Oh, right.
Toronto. But, so that was neat to be able to see that. There's a lot of birds here. A lot of birds.
A lot of different kinds of birds, like a cedar waxwing we saw. And I saw this bird today that I'm not really sure what it was, but I'm going to look it up, and it was really cool looking, different.
There's red-headed woodpeckers. So they're like black, white, and then their head is just red. Like from their neck up, it's covered in red. It's not like a pileated woodpecker or a downy. Is that a downy? Yeah. Woodpecker, where they just have some red on them. This thing is like, it's like, is he wearing a red hat? Like he's gonna rob a bank? It's like covering his face.
I don't think most bank robbers wear a red hat.
Well, if it covers their face.
Talking about like a sock cap?
Ski mask.
Or a ski mask, yeah.
But, so, anyway, beautiful. And there's bunny rabbits and chipmunks.
A bunny rabbit.
Chipmunks we don't have in Florida, so we don't really get to see chipmunks down there,
and
or even in Georgia, right?
Groundhogs, lots of groundhogs.
Yeah, groundhogs.
Oh, and swans in the lake.
I haven't seen the swans yet, but...
They're so huge.
Where are they at, did you say?
They're huge. They're over to the left of the main swimming area.
I must have missed them.
I've also seen them where the barricades and stuff are to the right.
They were probably down on that end then when I was on the other end.
Right.
Because I walked along that side, the west side, and I did not see any.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are beautiful though. Man, they're beautiful. And tons of seagulls and it's just a neat place.
I'll point this out while we're here. There's trash at every exit to the loops. The purple cans are recycling for the Lions Club. Because in New York, it's one of those states where you have to pay money when you buy bottles, and then it gets refunded, I guess, when it gets recycled.
Yeah.
And the Lions Club guys come out every Sunday, and they go through all the trash and collect it here.
So that's nice of them.
Mm-hmm. So this road is just the campground road.
Yeah.
The roads over here, the two-lane roads that hardly have any traffic on them, are for the park, sorry.
Day use area.
The day use area.
In order to access this road, you're supposed to be a registered camper.
Yeah, or a visitor who's also registered.
Right, yeah.
Everybody is supposed to check in at the office.
Whether they do or not.
Right.
You know. Oh, although, we will say, the cops do sit on that road. Not that we speak, but we did watch a lot of people get pulled over on the weekends because there's so much traffic and everything going through the park. The cops will just sit there and pull people over pretty aggressively.
Yeah.
So, which I mean is in a way it's good.
There's a lot of pedestrians crossing the main road.
Yeah, well, and kids are on their bikes here. I mean, just little kids too. There's been a lot.
Yeah.
At this particular park, it's really interesting to me. I don't know if this is like if it's a cultural thing or what, but
pause for a moment. 3-tier, you call them tiers? No. 3-lane dump station here. So it's good when all these 200 and something sites are emptying out on Sunday. Yeah. Okay, sorry. You don't know if it's a cultural thing.
I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but in this particular area, it just seems like little kids are allowed to roam free.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. In fact, I think it's probably a good thing. But in other parts of the country, it just doesn't seem like that's been a thing. Like we're always like, oh, we don't know what the right age is to let your kids wander around. Right. Free range parenting. I like that idea, and I'm trying not to be a helicopter parent. But it's just been interesting to me to like travel around the country and see these varying levels of kind of like independence of kids and kind of like what is the norm. But it just seems like at this park in particular, it's like, wow, there are some like
a lot of 3-year-olds on bikes.
Yeah, little 3-year-olds and no parents in sight, and it's like, okay then. And
those kids will probably grow up being really independent.
Right.
So
I mean,
good.
that was the way of things for a long time, in our history. So I say more power to the parents that do that. But it's just a thing that we've noticed at this park in particular.
So the speed limit on that main road is 25 miles an hour, which it's difficult to maintain because it is wide open spaces. So it's like, this seems a little slow, but do it. Yeah, because you'll get a ticket if you don't.
And plus the little kids.
Right, yes, not just the ticket, sorry.
Mainly the little kids, I would say.
Yeah. And then the campground roads are 15 miles an hour. But there's no cops back here.
Yeah.
I don't get that. They're not patrolling this area.
There's like one public safety officer that kind of rolls through once a morning, it seems like.
Yeah, I saw him doing this thing to a car, like telling them to slow down. But he's just got yellow lights, so nobody's really going to pay attention to him.
Well, there you go.
But sometimes you can just police your own people,
You could, yeah. Lake Wales.
Mm-hmm. Is that where Lake Kissimmee State Park is? Lake Wales?
Yeah, I think so.
That's right.
Oh, I love Lake Kissimmee.
That's a neat one. If you're in Florida and you're wanting to go to a campground, check out our website, coxfamilytravels.com, and look at the review about Lake Kissimmee State Park.
Oh, so good. So good.
It's one of those out away from everything.
Yeah, but good signal.
Places. Yeah, it had good signal.
The coolest thing about that place was like really good signal, but also out in the middle of nothing.
Yeah.
Although it was hard to provisions. It was kind of a hard thing to go get.
Yeah, Walmart. It was like 35 minutes to the Walmart, which wasn't so bad actually.
I will say, like our feelings on like how far you have to go to get to a Walmart is different now than it is, or than it was, because like before it was like anything over 10 minutes felt like, oh, this is too far.
I know.
But now it's like, 30 minutes, that's nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that has made RVing a lot better for us when we finally did start to say, look, this city that we would like to visit is only like an hour and a half away. So let's go do that instead of saying, oh, it's too far.
Right.
That has made a really big difference, I think, in our enjoyment of this whole thing.
Yeah, which was funny when we were in California and we drove to LA to go to the Museum of Natural History and some other that ended up being two and a half hours.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just driving, it was traffic.
Traffic, right.
2.5 hours of traffic, which makes it just seem a lot worse than if you're able to drive.
Yeah, I think that was the thing. We didn't think it was going to be that long of a drive, so we went ahead and did it. But man, it was like 2.5 hours.
But we also couldn't find anywhere to stay close by in order to get there.
Right.
But if we had our chance to make the decision again, based on what we know now, we would not go back because the kids didn't really enjoy the museum anyway.
Yeah, I would have done that differently. Yeah. I don't know what I would have done instead. Maybe just hung out. Yeah, I think like just hang out in San Diego instead. Yeah. The traffic's better there and it's prettier. It's just a prettier city. We didn't go to
Coronado or anything like that.
And looking back, it's like, why didn't we? Like, I don't know. I think in our minds, LA was just going to be like a neater experience for the kids, and it really just wasn't.
Yeah.
It just wasn't. And I think that's another thing too. Because we don't watch as much TV, like, and they're not as exposed like to the idea of Hollywood. Right. I mean, we do watch some like movies and such. Yeah. But it's just not as ingrained in them, I think, as it was in like me as a kid. I knew more celebrities and stuff. So
going to the Chinese theater and seeing the handprints and the stars on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah, like watching the premieres of, like they're walking down the red carpet and all that stuff. And our kids were like, okay, Hollywood sign, like, it's like kind of like right over the old head. Right. So yeah, San Diego would have been, in hindsight, a better place to focus on. We did go to the zoo there, but still we could have gone a couple of different times or something instead of going to LA.
Yeah, that would have been better. But right now we're in New York, and you can see this is, if you walk down this road that takes you to the West End, and there's a huge parking lot and additional roadway, but of course it's closed to vehicles. It actually says authorized vehicles only, but I walked down it. I'm not a vehicle. I am a vehicle.
Rebel.
So this is the final loop. As you can tell, it is also a in one way and then out the same way, but it is a one-way loop, if you catch my drift.
Like ours is.
Right. And so this loop begins at 224 and I think ends at 260 perhaps. I don't know.
So 260.
We'll see what that one says over there.
Yeah.
Either right now or when we come back around. But this one is open.
264.
264. So, you have your choice. You know what is interesting? I have not noticed any camp host locations.
Yeah. That is true.
260 sites and no camp hosts, as far as I can find.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, usually you can kind of pick them out. Like,
Right.
Even if there's not a sign,
Yeah.
you're aware of, there's somebody washing the bathroom, or they're riding around on their golf cart. But I really haven't seen that. So I wonder if maybe they don't have
Maybe it's just
campfires?
staffed
Yeah.
by people, and then if you have a problem at night, there's a number. Not that the staff was very helpful here. When we checked in,
Now I think you're being,
when I checked in, the guy at the front gate, he didn't give me anything. He didn't tell me which way to go, and it's a pretty confusing thing. Like there's loops and turnarounds and odd traffic
yeah.
flow,
Yeah.
and the signage is not very good.
Yeah.
So I found the park office, and then I checked in, and the guy gave me the parking pass and said, "You're good," and that was it. So there was no map, no here's how you get to the campground, none of that. I could have asked, obviously, but a lot of times people ask, "Have you been here before?"
Right.
Here's how you get here.
Right.
Maybe most people are just here all the time. So
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
But it looks like what these folks did. See, they've got a bunch of hose right there. They probably, see, there's a freshwater thing right here. They probably hook a bunch of hoses together and then run it across the street and hook up their fresh water so they can fill up their tank and then unhook it. You could do that if you got a bunch of length. Yeah, if you stayed in that one, you could easily fill it up. But just don't leave it hooked in there if you're not plugging in.
People are trying to use it.
Right.
So, yeah. But yeah.
And I was going to say at least in our site, and I think it's the case in all of them, it's a 30 amp and a 20 amp. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you go online, it's confusing trying to figure out, is it 50, 30, what is it?
Right.
But I know ours has 30 and 20. California.
Yep. Now, there's a lot more road traffic right here, I guess.
Yeah. The back of the loops are along that parkway, but I think as you get further to the end, they are just closer to it. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's a little noisier with the road in these sites. But that road is not really heavily traveled.
No.
I think it's called the Lake Ontario Parkway?
I think so.
Maybe?
I think so, yeah. I think that's right.
I'm glad we're almost to the end of this loop because we've used up 70% of this battery almost.
Oh, wow.
Pretty close.
I've used up 70% of all of my knowledge about the park.
And the video is going to be an hour long. So.
Oh, wow. Man, well, if you've stayed with us for this long.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, and if you haven't, just keep it to yourself. Okay, truck coming, I think. Oh, don't slip down in that mud.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Maybe he's just stopping at another site.
Great. No, my feet are wet.
Sorry.
Thanks a lot.
So, let's see. Anything else about this part?
I mean, aside from, like you said, the less than helpful, greeting,
Right.
which I think part of that is our own fault. We should ask questions if we have them, but, it's been a good experience here.
Here's
overall.
one thing that I want to show people that I haven't actually looked at. At these bathrooms, there's a thing that says pail dump sink. Dump sink. I'm assuming this means that if you've washed dishes, that you can bring it here and dump it down this weird toilet sink.
Do not put food in the dump sink. It will plug the drain.
I'm hoping nobody puts anything else that after they've eaten into this because it looks like a gigantic toilet. Doesn't it? Look, it's got a flush handle and water.
I think it is for if you...
Gray water.
Yeah, only for dishwater, I would say.
Yeah, don't put food in it.
Right.
Or any undigested corn. But anyway, that was odd. I didn't expect that. I expected just a big sink that had a drain hole in it, but I guess... I don't know why it would need to flush if it was just gray water. Yeah, unless they wanted that refreshed with fresh water.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe. We'll pretend like that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's quite peaceful here.
Yeah. Like we said, today is a Wednesday, and it's fairly empty.
Yep.
I don't think I've heard music at all.
No.
But like I said, we're kind of on an outskirt site.
Yeah.
Now, down at the beach, it is crowded.
It is.
Certainly on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that pretty bird. Oh, it's gone. Sorry.
That was neat. I think it was an orchard oriole.
He had a big old yellow back.
Yeah. 100%.
I don't know where he went. Oh, well. There's a bunny. Let's go see the bunny. Eating some clovers. He's a pretty big one.
He is a big one.
Compared to the others.
He might be rabid.
Yeah, he's not afraid of us.
A rabid rabbit.
Hey, bunny. Oh, okay, he's done. Maybe. There he is. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the loop. And I'll flip it. Here we are.
Yep.
1 hour in. Thanks for sticking with us. Or fast forwarding all the way to the end. Whatever you did. It's okay. We're just here for informational purposes and maybe a little bit of entertainment.
Right.
So if you're in this area and you want to go to, or if you're wanting to go to Niagara Falls, this is a great place to stay. The beach is beautiful. The lake is beautiful.
Groundhog.
Another groundhog, or a groundhog. It's just been overall a good,
pleasant experience.
experience. Aside from having to deal with the internet, which I think is a blessing in the
It
end.
actually ended up being one of those really big blessings in disguise.
I think so too. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.